All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Monday lighting critique. We've got 5 images to go through here. I hope you all saw that our Monday night session of Let's Light is being postponed until next week. Shockingly, the renders are not quite ready yet. It turns out 290 frames of rendering is a little bit longer than I was anticipating. You'd think I would be better at that by now, but it's still a thing that happens all the time. So here we are. Okay, so I want to jump in with Abhishek's first because you posted this first. And kind of get into the feedback that you were looking for. Okay, so a few things out of the gate. Right now, we no longer have any time constraints, so we can kind of sit back and really get this into a good place. There's a few things about this image that I want to reevaluate. So, okay, because I think the structure is there. Right, like we've got everything set up. We've got these trees that are kind of aligning with him, and framing him up. We've got this moonlight that's coming over his shoulder. The one thing about the moonlight is we're creating a little bit of a tangent between the edge of the moon. Let's do that again. Between the edge of the moon here, and then his shapes here. In here. So anytime compositionally you create spaces that are very close together, you create visual tension, you create energy there, and it's not a problem if that's what you're going for, but in this particular case I would actually take the moon and nudge it up this way because I think there's a little bit of dead space in this upper left, and I think we can afford to move that up there and lose some of this kind of tension between the moon and the ears there. In terms of the lighting setup, we have, again, our two main light sources. We've got the moon coming in over his shoulder here, and then we've got the pumpkins providing fill light. Now, a couple things that I would really like to work on is, number one, I would really like to get more... I think we can push the shaping a little bit more in like this wing here, and then really push the specularity, because these pumpkin lights are a relatively small light source, and they're going to create like that leathery specularity up the side. You're getting a little bit in the chest here, and I just kind of want to see it in the wings. I think that would really, really, really benefit. Speaking of the light sources of the pumpkins, I know I've kind of mentioned this before, but like they just feel like they're overall glowing, and it would be nice to get like a more... like just more variation in the value that's inside of them, because it's pretty consistent. Just almost like there's like, so we have an understanding of where the light source is, because it's like inside the middle of them. So create more gradation and just make it brighter towards the middle of them on the inside. Now, in terms of the character's face is feeling a little bit, I would increase the scale on your subsurface scattering, because there's just like a lot of back scattering shining through. Like I see a lot of red down in here, and it's just making him feel like kind of rubbery, and we want there to be a little bit more body, like a little bit more, skull and flesh and just substance underneath the skin that'll kind of block that up. Additionally, that squishiness is leading towards him feeling a little bit too red, and not enough, because like if you think about the skin on his face is the same skin as what's on the wings, and if you look at them, they look very different. Like these feel very orange, while this feels very kind of blue purple. So I like this color for the scene, and I like this color for the front of him, and then just like a neutralized light for the moon rim, I think would look really well. It would be great. So I know I've talked about this before. I am a little confused about the position of these tree branches. I guess we talked about it before, where we try to push them back a little bit, but it just feels a little odd. Like maybe just move these, or make them smaller, like less thick or something. They're really kind of jutting into the space, and they're both like at the same level of atmosphere. Yeah, I guess that's I guess let's just leave that for now. We might want to revisit that later. And then the other thing is this black band, kind of back here. Just make sure there's more roll off. It just feels like a hard kind of line that's going through the scene. And then, yeah, and I think we can feel a little bit more, like it's very bright down here from the pumpkins, and then like almost nothing right next to it here. So this might be a little too bright, but we really want to push more of that value up in here. And I think that's a good place to start for now, and then we'll continue on from there. All right, Amy, you had an image and a question. So in this example, okay. So this might be happening. It's only happening for one of three reasons, and it's good to. This is a good problem solving technique, which is why I included it in the video here. So reason number one why things in a render layer would be brighter than the original. It's either there's an override on the intensity of the light or the exposure of the light that's making it brighter. That's number one. Or the color of the light. Something about the value of the light goes up. So check that first. If the values are all the same, then the increase is coming from one of two additional areas. Number one, was there any geometry that was in the original that is not here that would possibly be blocking a light or occluding a light and causing some shadow? Like, just by turning off the primary visibility, it should still cast shadows and still handle the refractions all the same. So that shouldn't cause a problem, but just something to be aware of too, making sure that all the geometry is coming through. Number three is to check the other, because by default, the render layers, I believe, I'm 99% sure this is true, will just by default bring in all the lights in the scene into your layer unless you specify which lights specifically. So there's a chance that you had a bunch of lights in the scene that had more light linking. And if that's the case, they may have all gotten dumped into your scene and the light linking was broken and now it's just shining light everywhere all the time. So I would check those three things and see where those get you. Yes, and then if all of that is failing, what I would then do is create another layer and just like add things one at a time, right? So then you would add just one of the ball men, and then you would add just one of the lights, and then you would add, like, just keep adding individual things. Or I guess I would add all of the geometry first, and then add one light, and then the next, and then the next, and see where something breaks. And that'll really help you narrow it in. But this is a good problem-solving exercise, and it's good to kind of talk these things through. In terms of your image, I think your image is looking great. I really don't have any additional notes at this point. Based on what we were seeing from the reference, I think this is working out really well. I would just maybe soften the shadow down here a little bit. And that's pretty much about it. I think your stuff's coming together really well, and I would encourage you to just call this one done and move on to the next one, because I think you've really nailed the look and hitting notes, which are the main goals of this assignment. So Jeremy, same thing with you, man. This looks really great. Sorry, this is going to be a lame couple of critiques here, because I'm basically just telling you guys you did a good job. So compared to the reference that we had before of the egg, you guys can check that on the page. Yeah, it's all just working out well. The only question I have is it feels like there is a kind of a darker shadow right there. So just double check that there's not like a double cast shadow coming off of this. Like there's not two lights and there's like a secondary one that's casting that shadow right in there. If that's the case, you can just turn off that. I would probably just soften that radius a little more until that shadow goes away. But it may be an artifact of something else that I'm just not seeing. So, but other than that, I think this is working out really well and matches your egg reference really great. Nigel. Okay, good first start. One thing I really like about what you've got going on here is this hair. Like I should say the hair on the key side, like up and through here. You've got a lot of shaping in the hair, and that's gonna bode well later. Down here, it's going to look crazy. So you will probably need to flank that off to just this part of his hair, because over here, it's like we're in the fill values now. And there's no, like, It's nice to see it in the key, but in this fill side, it feels a little bit forced and a little strange. Now, the biggest thing with this one is his color. His color feels off, like he feels green. Let's see if we can do a tweak here real quick. And so like his skin color should fall more in here, and also just like maybe not that so much on the brights, but like even that's still feeling a little bit warmer. Yeah, and then just something more in this region. At that point, it's you know, it's kind of super lifted because I really jerked around the values quite a bit, but you can see the warmth that's missing from his skin tone, and because right now this is a little bit more, yeah, it's just greenish, lizardy colored. The next big challenge with him is his eyes. So you can see it like they're kind of glassy, they're marbly, they are like if we've got the key light coming in from this side, you really want the eye dings to fall right here and right, oh, not quite that high, but like right here. And that'll really help sell it in a little bit. The other big thing is the sharpness of a couple of these shadows. So like this shadow, super hard. And then we're kind of seeing some reminiscences of that around on his face as well. So just watch out for the very low radius. You can kind of see like a line there. The very small radius light will cast very harsh shadows, and it's not it's not ideal. It's also not very flattering on him because it's like it's coming in from behind him. His eyes are in shadow. We got this line coming across his face, this line over here. And we really want to pick up more of that shaping. So I would definitely encourage you to find some reference. Definitely just some like classic Renaissance painting portraiture. There's plenty of different styles you can choose from. And then continue from there. But yeah, the biggest thing is get that skin tone into the right shade, either through the light color or the shader value, and then and really work from there. But yeah, we'll start with that, and then we will go from there. So in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and post it up, and I will be back tomorrow with more lighting critiques. So I will talk to you all then. All right, happy lighting, everybody.